It's not just radio anymore. Flow 94.9 FM brings you something big and new. Let's give you that camera lights action effect, which is also part of our complete outside broadcast services for all your event coverage, both recorded and live. Juicy offers await you as you do business with us.
Let's go.
So what do you have? Is it a wedding, cultural event, birthday, conference, seminar, or showbiz? Whatever it is, we are always ready and set to give you what you need. We also run visual advert for your company, products, and services, and we air...
Welcome you. Yes, Michael, we're not giving up on Nigeria. We're very hopeful that we'll get there someday, talking about Nigeria. But back on the program, we are set to look at the performance of the present administration in the state, talking about Abia State in the area of agriculture, to find out the impact of some of the government policies on the lives of the people.
Joining us this morning, Tuesday morning, the 21st day in the month of May 2019, as the former member of the House of Representatives and the former Commissioner for Agriculture in Abia State, Right Honorable Uzo Azubike. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Well, we were very glad to have you back here in Flow 94.9 FM. Let's start off with some of the policies. I mean, following the fall in the price of crude oil back then in 2015 and the consequent recession that hit this country, the government at all levels, local government, federal government, even the state governments, they were forced to, for the first time, think outside the box. Outside of the box, they were forced to look for alternative ways of funding their projects. The need to grow the non-oil sector became more compelling than ever. And I know very well that you were part of the government at that point. So could you let us know some of those non-oil survival strategies of the governor when he started, and some of the targets, and whether we are close to the finishing line now?
Thank you very much. Upon coming into power and being inaugurated on the 29th day of May 2015, and actually prior to that inauguration, His Excellency the Governor of Abia State, Dr. Victor Okezie Ibazo, whom a consortium of lecturers in Abia State University described as a scholar in governance, took time to inquire into what to do, what steps to take, what initiatives to have within the time of his reign to put Abia State on the path of progress and sustainable development. And so he developed what he called the 5 pillars of his administration and the enablers. For purpose of this discussion, for want of time, I want to limit myself to his first pillar of development, and that is agriculture. Knowing fully well that agriculture is the first occupation on earth. History has it, or Bible has it, that it started in Eden. And accepting the fact that it is the dominant occupation in the Southeast in general, and in Abia in particular, he focused on how he can leverage on agriculture not only to diversify the economy of Abia State, but to create sustainable growth, development, and wealth for the people of Abia State. And this he did by looking at the areas in agriculture that we have comparative and competitive advantages. In terms of crop production, you know that our soil is so fertile that, like he always demonstrates it, if you lick mango and you throw out the seed, come there in the next few years, it has become a flourishing mango tree bearing fruits. That our land space is dotted generously with palms growing wild. That nobody, as we are sitting here today, can tell you the history or the origin of the palms that dot the land space of Abia State and indeed the entire southeast. We don't know whether they were planted by our ancestral spirits. The only thing we can recall today is that the elements using rats and squirrels, have been used to spread and propagate it. Because when squirrels carry palm nuts and hide in their tunnel, over time, of course, they become palm trees. And Dr. Ipazu feels that these crops that we already have this comparative advantage in should be developed, should be harnessed to diversify the economy of Abia State. And he feels that to achieve that the effective diversification from oil, that we will need to diversify agriculture itself. In diversifying agriculture, he came up with programs and policies that aim at changing our methods of agriculture from the subsistence system to a business-based system. Changing the input from the low-yielding inputs that we are used to ones that we can take advantage of and make profit after cultivation, because you come to realize that, for instance, take 3 major crop areas of cassava, oil palm, and rice. These 3 crops grow naturally in Abia State.
Are they major crops in Abia State?
Of course, they are major crops. Traditionally, we have...
Can you run them again?
Yes, I say cassava, oil palm,
okay,
and rice.
Okay.
In Abia, we have a vast rice zone, rice belt, that runs from Umuahia North, from Ibeku, through Bende, through Arochukwu, and Isukwato. Yet, prior to the incoming of this administration, Abia was now recorded as a rice-producing state.
Okay.
That even facilities made available for rice cultivation and promotion by the federal government, the central bank, and all that, never got to rice farmers in Abia State. Dr. Ipazu now brought up policies by which, one, we encouraged our rice farmers to consciously use varieties, the high-yielding and internationally acceptable varieties, and that improved our yield in rice production. He realized that we cannot do well in any aspect of farming without processing. And prior to his coming, there was no mill of any sort in Abia State. That rice produced in Abia was processed, milled in neighboring states of Ebonyi.
Right, Honorable, do you have the statistics as it concerns the rice production in Abia State, the cubic meters produced before his assumption into office, and of course what
so that we can actually know whether there's been improvement?
Okay, I cannot give you those statistics now, but I can tell you now that in his regime, we've been able to go into processing by building rice mills in Abia State. Not to the level that we want to, but that our rice farmers today can comfortably get their rice, go to Atanabam in Arochukwu and mill it, or go to Ofeme and mill it. And that because the federal government now is convinced that Abia is a rice-producing state, the rice farmers now receive the necessary grants, particularly through FADAMA. Okay. If you have the state director of FADAMA, of course, she will give you all the details of what we have done in that respect. Now, you look at cassava production. You find out that every farmer in Abia State is a cassava producer.
Unlike rice, that is actually situated at a particular geopolitical zone.
Of course.
Okay.
But regrettably, the cost of cultivating our farms usually is higher than the total output you get at the end of the year, because of the method of cultivation and the inputs that we use. Under Dr. Ipazu's administration, we now consciously streamlined the varieties of cassava that have the highest yield and have the highest current economic value. And that is the TME 419 and the Pro-Vitamin A varieties.
So another variety was introduced to farmers?
Exactly.
Okay.
That today, unknown to even most of the farmers, which is the greatest achievement, most of farmers do not know that the varieties that they plant today, unconsciously, are those varieties that have been promoted by the state, because the state went into stem multiplication, built cassava farms.
How did you supply the stems to the farmers? Because you say unknowingly to them, when you have this stem multiplication process done, you will definitely distribute it to the farmers in the state. How did you go about it?
First, when we went to, of course, you know that Abia is blessed with many agricultural research institutes. Umudike is the best in cassava production in Nigeria. I've attended so many workshops, and they proudly say so. So, in collaboration with the Crop Root Research Institute at Umudike, we were able to get these stems, and we began to promote them using your media and other medias. And people would go there to go and buy and put in their farms. Government itself established its own farm, cassava farm, from which we also produced and gave to farmers. Okay. Actually, we sold to farmers at very low rate. To the extent that people from other states even had to come to the Ministry of Agriculture to buy. And the Fadama initiatives, Abia paid this counterpart fund in Fadama 3 Additional Finance, by which funds were also made available to rice farmers and cassava farmers.
How much was paid?
Abia paid 38 million.
Okay.
Then. And from that money paid, Abia has raked in over 2-3 billion naira on different heads. I'll still get to that. Now, when you access this grant, they compel you to use only these varieties. In fact, at a point, the state director, Dr. Izina of Fadama, told me that even when they were able to get the Pro-Vitamin A and TME 419 varieties from other sources, the farmers will say, no, we want the one from Abia State Ministry of Agriculture. So today, we now have such varieties spread across the state, and that has guaranteed higher yield of our crops, particularly in the case of Fadama.
Okay.
Now, you look at the third crop, which is the only 3 crop in it, and that is oil palm. You realize, nostalgically, that most of the elite we have today were trained through communal harvest of oil palm. And yet, there has been no conscious effort to develop oil palm production within the state. History has it, we don't know how true it is, that Malaysia, that is today leading in oil palm production in the world, got their seedlings from Nigeria. And if it is from Nigeria, I have no doubt that it is from Abia State. And yet, in Abia,
calibrate some of these points.